what's your approach here to betting NFL futures right now?
I would pump the brakes, but I wouldn't say that you just completely don't bet at all. But I'm not going to go at some of these favorites because just so many things can go wrong during a season that I just don't think that anyone really is a favorite. We haven't drafted yet. We haven't gone through free agency yet. We haven't gone through training camps. Players can emerge. Players can develop. If I'm going to do anything, I put down kind of a smaller bet on some of these long shots and hope that they draft well or they get some free agents and players develop. One of the teams that you might want to look at, and it sounds crazy, but the plus 10,000 Jaguars.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying mortgage the house on it, but if you look at when they were one game away from the Super Bowl a couple seasons ago, the year before that they were 3-13. The year before that they were 5-11. The year before that they were 3-13. So they weren't necessarily trending in the right direction. And even during that season, Blake Bortles was their quarterback. They didn't have a receiver catch more than 60 passes. They didn't have a receiver catch for more than 750 yards. Leonard Fournette barely eclipsed 1,000 yards. Yes, they had a good defense, but it wasn't a great defense. I mean, we can barely remember that defense at all. I mean, it was good. It was definitely above average. It was a solid defense that season, but it's nothing that people probably can't remember half the players that were on it. And you look at what this defense did last season, it wasn't great, but it's trending in the right direction. They did hold the Buffalo Bills to 6 points. Anything can happen. They're not in a very tough division. They can make the playoffs, maybe catch some breaks like they did that season. It's worth a small little bet.
Pearce, did we just become best friends?
No.
Quick answer.
Hey, Maddie, no, that was a terrible answer. That was actually the worst answer you've ever given on this show.
But it was quick.
Maddie, are you playing a wait-and-see game here with most of these futures on the DK Sportsbook?
For the most part, I like what Pearce is talking about, going with longer odds for this part of the offseason because, you could definitely get burned if you, let's say, pick the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams don't end up being there. So I think there's more to lose with a lot of these favorites. But there's one team in kind of the mid-tier that I do like for both Super Bowl futures and for the MVP. That's the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson's 28-1. The Ravens are about 20-1 to win the Super Bowl. I just think there are a lot of ways this team could improve going into next year, and most of it has to do with their own health. Like, they don't necessarily need to add anyone to become a really good team. To me, this is the team that underachieved the most last season. So even though the odds are a little shorter and I'm a little wary of it, like Pearce talked about, I still think the Ravens deserve to be in the same category as teams like the Cowboys and the 49ers, and they're just a little bit undervalued. Lamar Jackson at 28-1. Maybe he should be 15 or 20-1. I don't think he's going to win MVP this year, but I do think he'll be in the conversation. So, that whole organization just seems undervalued to me.